Everyday heroes who refuse to let a diagnosis destroy their lives. They're all living well with MS. What they've done to live healthier can work for anyone. Montel's dream team of doctors dispel the myths about MS.
Why are we seeing this more in children now?
Plus, their stories will inspire you.
You got up one morning and said, I'm tired of saying oh no.
Now, we're making their dreams come true.
On behalf of all of the staff.
That's coming up right now on Montel.
10 seconds, Montel.
Listen to me.
Tape is rolling. Stand by.
I want the most powerful 3 minutes I can get out of the top of the show.
5 seconds. 4, 3, 2.
Welcome and thank you so much for joining us today. You know, I've been doing this show for the last 17 years and I've covered almost every single topic imaginable. But today, the topic I want to cover today is really very personal to me and it's a very emotional one for me. Right now, contrary to public belief, over 1 million people in this country are suffering and living with MS every single day. And you don't know somebody yourself, but soon you may. So what exactly is MS? Take a look at this.
MS is a disease in which the body is under attack. Much like the telephone with rubber, the nerves in the body are wrapped with insulation, and that insulation is what gets stripped off in MS because the body is attacking itself. So essentially, one of the nerves, for example, goes from the right side of my brain to control my left hand. Stripped, my ability to control my left hand gets impaired, and I might have a tremor that starts or weakness or numbness. So people often have trouble walking, they drop a foot, they stumble, they fall. They also have frequently trouble with vision. MS is frequently difficult to diagnose because there is no one symptom that is classic and can lead you to the diagnosis of MS. It is really a clinical diagnosis where you need to use a whole set of symptoms and understand the way they behave over time in an individual. Multiple sclerosis is essentially a very democratic illness. It does not discriminate in terms of the people that it affects. In fact, it's the most common cause of disability other than traumatic injury in young adults. So its onset is generally between the ages of 20 to 40 years old. You couldn't know that someone has MS just walking down the street. Montel is a really good example of how people can lead a good life with multiple sclerosis. He exercises, he keeps very active, and he goes to see his physicians in order to keep himself in the best possible shape. It is always amazing to me that when people with MS get together in groups, they don't waste time on silly things. They live their life a little bit closer to the bone. It enhances their life in a meaningful way.
Without a doubt. And people come up to me all the time and ask me, how is it that you deal with MS? And I want to let you know, I deal with it by talking to the experts. So please welcome today my Living Well team, dream team of doctors who understand MS. Welcome Dr. Adam Kaplan from Johns Hopkins School of Medicine, my own personal doctor, Dr. Erica Schwartz, and Dr. Lauren Krupp from Stony Brook University. Please welcome to the show. And I wanted to start the show this way, but I got to tell people what's been crazy. Since my diagnosis, I go through airports. I'm traveling all around the country. Now, maybe it's because I'm the celebrity that I am. People come up to me all the time, my aunt, my uncle, my cousin, my sister, my child. I have not heard in the last, when I first was diagnosed, I didn't hear of anybody under the age of 15 or 16 being diagnosed with MS. Now I'm hearing about 7-year-olds, 8-year-olds, 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds. And it just seems like the prevalence is going up, yet I can open up a newspaper and still see 400,000 people have MS, and that was the same number that they gave out when I got diagnosed. So first off, is the prevalence higher? Are we seeing more of it, or have we just gotten better at diagnosing it?
It's a combination of all of those, Montel. To begin with, we are basing our evaluations on the prevalence of MS based on 30-year-old data. And this country has yet to put the money together and make MS the kind of priority to get an accurate head count. Having said that, as we get the word out through shows like you're doing right now to raise awareness, people are beginning to understand more, but it's still a disease very much misunderstood, and many people don't come forward for fear of stigmatization.
Talk a little bit about the way this affects me. I've been very open about the fact that I suffer from depression, but I deal with it in very special ways. But talk for a second about just the psychiatry of this.
Yeah, so the psychiatry of MS is interesting. What people don't understand is MS is associated with a higher rate of depression than any known medical or neurological disease. And what we're beginning to understand, and actually beginning to do some really important research related to, is the idea that MS actually causes the depression. When the brain gets under attack, it leads to the depression. It's not a weakness, it's not, gee, I just can't pull myself up by my bootstraps. It's actually one of the symptoms, like weakness, numbness, tingling, these kinds of things. This is what the MS causes, is depression for over 50% of people with MS. However, it is one of the most treatable aspects. So not people's fault, very prevalent, potentially lethal. Third leading cause of death in MS is suicide. And you've been very open in your book, Climbing Higher, about, you know, past periods, really tough times you're going through. But again, you know, thank God you didn't kill yourself. We wouldn't be able to, you know, be on this show now and doing the kinds of things you did. So it's lethal, but it is treatable if people take it seriously.
And people have to understand, and it's also treatable for the caregiver, because it also brings on some issues in relationships and families. Dr. Erica, you have a book out, and I'm going to tell you, for me, and a lot of people may think it's a little controversial, but The Hormone Solution, which has been out, natural hormones, alleviate symptoms of hormone imbalance from adolescence through menopause. I work with you on this, and I've been very open about the fact that I'm on a I consider, like, I put everything in my arsenal I can to fight this illness. I'm taking Western medication. I see doctors and do the things that I'm told to do by my doctor. I've expanded, and I have an entire Eastern approach. I have herbs and things that I have a Chinese herbalist put together for me. I drink them every day. I not only do that, but I have a hormonal approach, and that hormonal approach is one that I've been working with Dr. Erica with. And I think all those things together in my arsenal has made me a pretty formidable adversary for this enemy that's attacking my body. And I think it's all those people walk up to me all the time. How am I doing? I work out every day. I am almost so anal about my diet that it's ridiculous. I carry food around with me everywhere I go because I want to make sure that I'm putting the right things in my body. Talk a little bit about the whole science of the makeup of us as individuals, hormonally and that, and how it can help.
Well, I think you're an example of what everybody should do with or without MS. And I think it's about the living well part. Mm-hmm. And the living well part is really what we're about. You know, I think that MS indeed is a chronic illness. There's a lot for us to find out about, to learn. There are a lot of options as far as treatments, but medication and the conventional way of looking at it is only a small part of it. The larger part of it is who you are as a person and what happens to you when you have the diagnosis and how you approach it. You are the testimonial of how to approach it so that you don't become by yourself defined by the disease.
And that's very important, because one of the things you said all the time, I walked in the office and she said, well, tell me who you are. And I said, well, you know, I'm 51 years old with MS. And she said, how can you identify yourself as just a person
You're only 50, by the way.
Yeah. Dr. Grubb, you work with patients, and you also, when I broached the issue of adolescence and MS, talk a little bit about the prevalence. We have a mother on the show who's got to deal with the fact that her 7-year-old daughter was diagnosed with MS. And all the fear of what's associated with a child growing up, is it going to get worse, and should I do a medication, all those things. What are you finding right now?
Well, we see children as young as 3 with MS, and it's, of course, the parents who are beside themselves. And the first thing, as you've already pointed out, MS is not to control you. You've got to control MS. You've got to be in control.
I said this the first day diagnosed. I have MS. MS does not have me.
You bet.
I want some more information. I got to take a little break, but you know, when we come back, I'm going to meet a woman who I'm going to tell you, and I do this show this way because, again, I run into people all the time who walk up to me on walkers or in wheelchairs, and they've almost given up. They want to say, I can't. Wait till you meet the next woman. We'll be back right after this.
Can't isn't in my vocabulary. I've done more in my wheelchair than most people have done in their entire lives. I'm not disabled, I'm differently abled.
Mansman and Associates, with a message about Social Security disability. Social Security pays disability benefits to people who can no longer work because a physical condition or a mental condition prevents holding a job. But qualified people are often denied. There is a law firm experienced in the Social Security system, Mansman and Associates, 1-888-814-2889.
Millions of people quietly endure a very common problem: incontinence. If you are one of them, you're not alone, but you can regain your freedom. Active Style offers you a convenient solution to incontinence at no cost to you if you're Medicaid eligible. When you call Active Style, a personal incontinence consultant, someone just like me, will help you find the appropriate product for your level of need, assured by our Get It Right guarantee. That's right, if you're on Medicaid, our service costs you nothing.
I have incontinence, the occasional accident, but Active Style has really helped me. They send exactly what I need each month. It costs me nothing, and I feel free too.
Regain your independence. Make the call. We do all your paperwork and send the supplies you need at no cost to you, delivered discreetly right to your door. Plus, shipping is free too.
Active Style helped me find the right fit. Then they send my supplies free. I don't have to be embarrassed at the store and then lug home bulky packages.
Active Style supplies and sends more before you run out. And all our incontinence products arrive in discreet, unmarked boxes. If you or someone you know is incontinent, call the toll-free number on your screen. After a few